Good evening and welcome to the CBBB. I think that was enough B's. L season 11. Wow. When did this happen? And I'm here. My name is Mr. Frodo, also known as Andrew Lane, and I have Daniel Larkin, who is going to be our league secretary for this year and keep the exuberance of our Blood Bowl coaches under control with facts and logic and other such boring things. We're looking at the new season after the event stopped last season in its tracks. It was a really exciting season. It was going really well. It was really close. Will was just out in front, I think, going into the final few games. And unfortunately, it got cancelled. And we hoped to get back to it, and it just never happened. And now we are trying to go back to it. Few of the coaches who are involved, some of the older coaches, they just can't go out on those winter nights anymore. So they're not coming out to play. So we've decided to redraw and restart afresh and anew with a whole new set of rules as well as we get used to the 2020 rules. I think we'll have another podcast on the differences between last season's rules and this one's whole new edition. And that's before we even talk about the Dungeon Bowl mid-season fun that we should probably do with the release of Dungeon Bowl at some point. So without further ado, we've got to look at the 12 coaches that we have picked up, all experienced coaches. Last time there was a mix of new and experienced to tabletop. This time it's all pretty experienced coaches. We've got a couple of, I think we've got 3 ex-winners of the CBBBL mixed in here somewhere. And so let's work through them. We've got Ed. Again, welcome back, Ed, the friendliest man in Blood Bowl, which is brilliant to see you back. This time with Beast Gores. Who have we got with the Badland Beast Gores? Is that a
That's Chaos Chosen.
Chaos Chosen team.
Said team.
We're going to have a look through all the rosters in a moment and maybe a couple of the rosters for excitement. And then we've got Daniel. What have you brought this year, Daniel, with your white heart?
I'm bringing my Undead team based on the what I have and don't have painted. So, yeah, Undead is going all right for me at the minute. So I might as well stick with what I know.
Assuming is that your actual football allegiance, Tom?
Yes, yes.
In which case,
exactly
you and
right.
I have something in common, which is both our teams have sacked their manager within the last 10 days.
Well, I thought you were going to say both our teams are rubbish, which would also have been true.
Well, it would also be true, yeah. Will is back. Will, who dominated the last season, although I think I beat him, or at least got a draw out of him with his elves, is back with his elves again.
Exactly right. Yes.
Yeah, and then we've got myself. I've been kicking around for years in the league, won it once, and this time though, I'm going for Imperial Nobility, who I don't think are that great. But we're going to have one really close look on those two Imperial Nobility rosters that are kicking around this league because they've gone very differently from each other. Mm-hmm. Then Paul Hebden, who's come over from the Hebel, yay, we stole one of theirs back after they stole some of our players, is come here with a dwarf team. And welcome, Paul. And we've got Ben as well back with the Tampa Bayosaurs. Yay! And we'll check those out in a minute. I'm assuming a Lizard Man team from that.
There we are. Clues in the name.
Yeah. Paul is back. Now, Paul has won the league at least twice, maybe 3 times, and has narrowly lost it in another occasion. I know I beat him in the final on penalties one year. So he's come back also with Imperial Nobility. Now, this was interesting because I thought I'd chosen a chump team. I really did. I thought I will choose a chump team. So I picked it and I went, there's no way this team's going to win. And then I noticed that Paul's got Imperial Nobility in the Hebel and is actually doing quite well with them. So you go, maybe I wasn't as bad a decision as I thought. Then we've got Joseph Linsky back again. Excellent see you back, Joseph. I met you at a tournament a few weeks ago in London, which was fantastic to keep. And also at the London Grand Tournament, except you weren't playing Blood Bowl. Boo! Yes, other game systems are available. And you've got something, Killed the Elfie Wyverns. Okay, cool. I managed to, my dyslexia nearly totally defeated me on that. I'm trying to read that. But,
you did better than I did, anyway.
Right. And
I stopped at kill.
Yeah, and then, well, that's probably what they do have to kill. And then Dave Clark. I'm going to stand and stop. Where have we picked Dave up from?
I met Dave in the Hebel League most recently, so maybe another one we've pinched, at least for now.
That's Martin Wright for advertising on our site when we were doing.
There we are.
So
he's gone for Chaos Renegades, which would be a bit of a laugh.
Oh, well, that tends to be a laugh. If the negatraits all go wrong, it's funny for us. And if they go right, it's funny for him.
Funny for him.
And exactly. George, Pinball Bellwood, who's back again. Excellent to see you, George. George is a very good friend of mine. Helped me launch my own game, Fourth Quarter Football, who sponsored this podcast. George is playing dwarfs again, who he loves playing dwarfs. I know he loves, although he has complained about the new, well, maybe rightly, that they've been slightly nerfed, although not as much as wood elves. George is coming back with dwarfs, which is his strong team. I know he won the league with dwarfs. Ooh,
it was officially the last one to win the league before the world ended.
So
and restarted.
So he is the holder.
Reigning champion.
He is the reigning champion, and George beat me on penalties as well in the final. So boo hiss, yeah, excellent feedback. Tom Pugh. Now Tom is a really long-standing member of the Chelmsford Bunker, which is going to be our base for this tournament. And he is, it's great to see. He runs Cymbeline Games as well, who are probably the co-sponsors of this podcast. They make excellent dice, if anybody, or import excellent dice. So if anybody's interested in getting some interesting D6s, Tom's your man.
Did Tom make the CBBL dice?
He did, yeah. We haven't gone for those this year because that would have taken organisation, something I'm not particularly strong about, or especially long term. Daniel's been asking me to get this league started for months, and I finally woke up and in typical me did it overnight and just boom. But yeah, no, Tom does them. I once sat there and showed Tom a casualty dice that I bought from a Spanish website, Comic Sonius, who are a really good site for buying Blood Bowl bits and bobs. And he looked at it with real interest before telling me that it was actually a dice he'd had made. And it had gone from wherever he got it made from, I think it might have been America, and it had gone to Tom, who then sold some of them on to Comic Sonius, who then sold it to me. So it had gone all the way through Chelmsford, all the way off to Spain, and then back to Chelmsford again, this poor dice. And it's now not even valid anymore. Thanks, Games Workshop. And then finally, he hasn't won it. But that question mark is how? Well, maybe because he hasn't been in it that often. But Sam is a very experienced tournament player, known as SCS Sam in tournament play. He runs the some tournaments out in 40K in Colchester, which I will remember the name of in a minute.
It's Kosh Bowl to help you out, Andrew.
Even though I've been going to every single one, I think, over the years. I just forgot the name. And Sam is a very, very good player coming in. He's a tournament winner. He played for Team Wales, which puts him, playing at that tournament level where you're actually playing for the countries. That's serious stuff, which none of the rest of us close to yet. So he's a very, very good player. And although I did beat him last season, I'd like to say this. I need to say that out loud really fast before I do it. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to pick, this is a randomizer. So Daniel can show you, just press it once and it randomizes.
So, oh yeah.
Press again. Yeah, there you go. So what we're going to do is, rather than drawing them out of the hat, we're going to roll a D6. And then we're going to randomize it that many times. Boom, 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 and then clock. We've got two groups. Group one is called Morg, and group two is called Thorg. And these two groups will be divisions will be playing each other twice. Everybody in one division will play each other twice. Seeing as that then leads on well to a, I want as many people to feel still involved as the league goes on. What we're going to do is then we're going to go to a quarterfinals. So the top three from both divisions will go through. And then the two highest placed remaining coaches from the other half. So it doesn't matter if they all come from one. If you've been winning your games, then you're more likely to go through. So it'll be the top three from both divisions, though, will go through. Okay, so we're going to roll, and then a couple of runners up. So we're going to roll the dice. I'm going to roll the dice. Comedy drum roll sound. Managed to... Live TV. I just rolled the dice behind my computer and can't reach it. Hold it. Here we go. I've got number 5. I have 5 on the dice.
Okay, so, here we go then. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
I should have stopped it on 4 and gone, how scary was it before we clicked 5? Oh, no, I'm in Sam's group. Oh, I'm in Paul's group. Oh no. Right, I'm already retiring at this point. This is going to be a tough group over here. Right, so we've got... so it's probably oh no, I was quite interested to see what the Imperial oh no, I will find. So we've got the 2 Imperial nobility teams, an Orc team. I'm just going to screenshot this in case I forget. so we've got Sam with his Orc team. We've got Dave with what the Maleficent Misfits.
That is the Chaos Renegades.
Chaos Renegades again. Yeah, you did mention that. Then we've got Imperial Nobility. Then the Badland Bestials, so with Chaos Chosen, I'm assuming. Then Imperial Nobility, and then a dwarf team, because there are three dwarf teams in this league. Now, there's one on this side of the draw, which means there must be two on the others. So yeah, Ben.
Does that make Forg more or less interesting than Morg?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it does. I have to say there was a really good player at the. I won't mention his name, but there was a really good player of War Games at the bunker, and he wanted to try Blood Bowl, and he took dwarfs. And in the second or third, I think it was the second game of the season, he played dwarfs versus dwarfs, and he quit, and he never came back. And I can kind of see why, because dwarf versus dwarf is a really slow game. You're just sitting there with a big, like massive pile up of players, and they're not fast enough to get away. So the whole pile up just, like schoolboy football, where everybody surrounds the ball and
everyone just follows the ball.
Yeah, just kicks each other off each other. It's like that. It just moves around the field. So I'm never a fan of. I like playing dwarfs, but it's really hard. Dwarf on dwarf, you have to be a total sort of purist of the game to be able to enjoy it shape or form. Okay, so over the other side we've got Lizardmen, we've got the dwarfs from George, who might find this season slightly harder with dwarfs because of the passing changes. We've got Kind of Magic, which is Will's elves. Oh, Will, you're stuck in a division with two dwarf teams. My heart bleeds for you. Although it is. That'll teach you for coming first last time. No, that gives you one problem is, although Pro Elves don't have a lot of dodge to start with. No. So I can almost see there's almost no point getting anywhere when four of your games are going to be dwarf. Then Daniel, you're in here with your undead.
Yeah, I am. Yeah,
undead. Yeah, okay. That's a good one. And then Tom's got dwarfs as well. So you've got two battles with the little blokes. And then Joe's Wyverns in there. So what we'll have to do, that looks interesting enough. We will then randomize a schedule from this, which can we do that now?
Yeah, if I just stop sharing for a second, I'll drop it into the the schedule maker, if you like. Just give me a minute.
Yeah.
Am I stop sharing? I can't tell you.
No, you haven't.
Right, okay, so give me a moment.
Yeah, no problem. So while we're doing that, we are going to look at some of the rosters, some of the history of this league. I don't know if anybody is in this league and doesn't know what it all stands for. CBBBL stands for Chelmsford Bunker Blood Bowl League, because it was a War Games club, and it used to be in somebody's really like concrete garage. They decided the club actually used to run for quite a while in a garage. It said that club nights are on a Wednesday, but we're going to give everybody 2 weeks to play the game. If you want to play it on the club night, you can. If you want to play it somewhere else, if you're based in Chelmsford, there are two venues straight away that might be alternatives. That's Geek Retreat, which is based over by the station, which is a new franchise of a national franchise of gaming places. And there's also my little.
It looks really good. Have you been in there, Andrew?
I have been. Geek Retreat. I actually kept visiting it long before it opened because I discovered it on one of my walks when they'd stuck up their logo, but they hadn't opened yet. And it was during the event, and I used to walk past the window going, and I went to their opening day, like already, like I'm not the biggest fan of COVID, and went up and there was like about 50 people in there, and we sort of stopped at the door and went, I will come back later. But no, it's really nice, and they serve nice. If you're not into your beer, if you prefer your milkshakes and things, it's definitely the place to go.
Got some good stuff.
And they have a lot of Blood Bowl for sale last time I was in there as well. If you want to pick up a team, they had lots and lots of team boxes.
Well, they were hoping to put a Blood Bowl league together actually when I spoke to them.
They were. I've been involved in leagues where it's lots of new players, and I tend to prefer to play in leagues where most players have already played in the league, there was something about I would have liked to join. If they do get a shop league going, that's fine, but I think I was happier to run our league, and maybe we can challenge them to a league fight. I know that I went to Basildon with a league a while ago, and they got upset because I was stalling and because I'm that man, and they got upset that I was like maybe rolling too many pals when it was only because I was like rolling 2 dice blocks all the time and they were rolling 1, and I just kind of
makes a difference. Yeah.
and you kind of go, yes, my Amazon team is going to score right now and give you 6 turns with orcs to batter me and score. Yeah, or I'm going to just stand here and stall. I think I'll just stand here and stall. And so they banned stalling because of me. The next league they ran. So like, and
sounds like Paul Winter would get on well in that league. He's hates the old stall, doesn't he, Paul?
Yeah, he does. But yeah, this microphone is so loud. Poor Daniel's getting. I can hear my echo in it. But yeah, that's it. Okay, are we good for go for this?
Yeah. So so league or division morgue names are in. So if I hit the randomizer again or create schedule.
Okay,
so here we are.
Let's just do it.
Done.
Fun.
So week 1, Andrew versus Paul Hebben.
Yes. Okay.
Dave Clark versus Paul Winter, and Ed Harris, Sam Griffith.
That's good.
There we are.
Okay, excellent. And then we've got that. So now, how do we make sure we've kept this?
Well, I've opened 2 screens, so I'll now do the same thing again here. Curate schedule, and there we go.
Week 1, George. We've got a dwarf off already.
There we are.
George versus Tom. You'll need to bring your pillows and stuff to have a sleep while you're trying to beat each other up with dwarfs. And then Will versus.
At least there's no guard at this point. That's the only thing I would say. Once it gets guardy.
Yeah, but there with no guard, nothing is going to happen. Yeah, I've got 1 dice, or you've got 1 dice all the way through. Who wants to throw the dice? Then Will is his elves are taking on Joe Zielinski. That'll be a good game. Both good coaches.
And then I've got Ben, which is interesting enough because Ben actually only started playing Blood Bowl in March 2020.
Wow.
Yeah, I had 1 game with him at his house to sort of show him, what the dice were and what to do and that sort of thing. And then he played on Fumble, and that's,
So this was all randomized, but you ended up playing the new player.
Isn't that random?
Yeah, very, very random. Yeah, nice. And actually, right, I don't trust Daniel. Now we're watching it. Right. So we've got this. So that's it. And then we've got the league going off. What we'll do is we'll play through once, and then we'll play through again. And so, then I do like having a home and away fixture, or just that kind of playing people twice, because you get a chance to revenge yourself if it's all just came down to 1 dice in the first game, as Blood Bowl nearly always does. Okay, so we've got those. If you can make sure you've saved them in some way.
They will be saved.
And what I thought we'd quickly do, I know this might be too long, we might have a quick look at some of the rosters. Let's see, the one person who hasn't brought Bash to the table, I think, at all, is Will. No names, Will. Ooh, sorry. I'll just shout abuse. Now, I know you're amazing, Will, so it's great. So we just got the standard 2 blitzers, catcher, 2 throwers, and then lineman. Very little, no dodge. I keep forgetting that. And pro elves don't start with any dodge, which in a league, in a division with 4 games against dwarfs, it might even not be worth getting dodge and just and picking something else. I'll be interesting to see. I think Will really knows how to play these. I played him. He's an excellent player. I had to bring my A game to have any chance. So I like that one a lot. I'm going to stop.
I remember our game. I had Will. Again, when I first started, Andrew, after you taught me in 2019, Will was my first league game. But Will hadn't played a lot of tabletop at that point. He'd played like 900 games
online,
online or something. But yeah, it's so I remember getting a draw against him, and effectively I was so afraid because I had like 4 turns left, and I got a 2-2 draw, and Will and onlookers were like, "You should go and score now and try and score again." I was like, "I'm not scoring now against Will because he has 4 turns and he will absolutely." Score again. I cannot stop him. I know I can't stop him. So I was hating myself at the same time, but I just didn't want to get that first game loss. So I fondly remember that one.
I would still do that. If with certain players, it's like there's no way I'm going to give them a chance to then score twice. I mean, pro elves, they'll score in 2 turns and then they'll come at you to see if they can get the ball off you. The last 2 turns.
It was also the game, Andrew. You might recall the picture where I think I knocked out possibly 7 of his players for the entire game, so he didn't get 1 knockout return. So I didn't casualty any of them, I don't think. but Will was playing with literally 3 or 4 players by you sort of turn 14 or something, and I was still scared to score because I knew he had it in him. Yeah.
I'm not